How many discounts does USAA Auto Insurance offer? Too many to say here. Multi-vehicle discount, safe driver discount, new vehicle discount, storage discount, legacy.
How many discounts will you stack up? Visit USAA.com/auto discounts. Restrictions apply.
At Starbucks, we've more than doubled paid parental leave, now up to 18 weeks. Which means Starbucks baristas can spend more time with the best company they know, their families. At Starbucks, benefits like parental leave are just the start.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. And sure, my voice is peanut buttery smooth, but still, you need to see the peanut butter cups, right? No? I can really just say Reese's and you'll go get some? Okay, Reese's. 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 Really working, actually. Reese's. Reese's. I'm on to something. Reese's. Reese's. Reese's.
Hey, it's Sydney Sweeney. I'm not here to tell you to buy American Eagle jeans. And I definitely won't say that they're the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn. Or that they make your butt look amazing. Why would I need to do that? But if you said that you want to buy the jeans, I'm not going to stop you. But just so we're clear, this is not me telling you to buy American Eagle jeans.
Sydney Sweeney, Hasbro jeans.
You see what I did there, right?
Welcome into the Tour Coach, everybody. I'm your host, Tony Ruggiero, as I am every week here on the Tour Coach podcast. If you've been listening for a while or you've recently started listening, you probably know that, or if you're new, this is really for you, but these are the stories and the conversations and the chats with the people that I meet in my journey in golf, coaching, teaching, playing golf. These are the fitness instructors, the mental coaches, the performance coaches, the other teachers, the players, and the people that I run into day to day teaching and coaching that I think shed interesting perspectives, have great views and information that can help all of you that love the game of golf play better, coach better, teach better, practice better. It's all in an effort to give you the best information. So hopefully you like these conversations here on the Tour Coach. And this particular one kicks off a little bit of a couple-week frenzy. This is a project that I've been working on for a while. Most of you that listen know my affection and affinity for Key West and the Florida Keys. One of my good friends, a guy who's become a good friend, is Justin Juice Valakis. And he's one of the best tarpon fishing guides anywhere. And we've become friends as I undertook this task of learning to tarpon fish. It was something I wanted to do, spending time down there. And he hadn't played golf in 13 years. And so myself, Wade Hamilton, Dr. Greg Cartin went down to Key West. He taught us how to tarpon fish. We taught him how to golf and how to practice. And a lot of the crossovers and the whole experience was really, really cool. And we filmed a big chunk of it, and we've brought it out to you in a Pro Work episode that's going to drop next week. But we're kicking it off with this podcast this week that we've done, the four of us talking about the experience of learning to fish, learning to golf. I think you're going to love it. But more importantly for you, the listener, if you go on any of our social channels and you go to YouTube or Instagram, and when we put these videos out, you comment hashtag Shadowcaster Charters, hashtag DewSweeperTV, hashtag DewSweeperGolf, any of those. You sign up for a contest in which Juice and I are going to draw a lucky winner who will have the opportunity to come down, play golf with me, Wade, and Greg at Key West Golf Club, and we're going to tarpon fish with Juice. We'll have a great dinner, some great cocktails, a bunch of fun. Really cool thing we're giving away here on the Tour Coach. All you got to do is go to one of our social channels, comment hashtag Shadowcaster Charters, hashtag DewSweeperTV, hashtag ProWork, and please like and subscribe our channel. We're making a huge push. It's going great. We appreciate all of you listening and watching, and more importantly, or equally as important, we appreciate our sponsors, Mitch McConnell and Buick GMC. Blaine Stokely, Stokely's Midtown Garden Center, Taylor Martino and Rowan, and none of this would be possible without the folks at Shrixon Golf and Vineyard Vines and Bushnell. They've been with us forever. We're going to be with you, helping you play the game of golf better. Enjoy the Tour Coach podcast. Go find us on YouTube, Do Sweeper TV. Follow us, like us, comment, hashtag Shadowcaster Charters, hashtag Do Sweeper TV, hashtag Pro Work. Any of those going to sign you up for a once-in-a-lifetime trip to Tarpon Fish with me, Wade Hamilton, Dr. Greg, and Juice, the tarpon fishing expert.
So here we are. This is not as fun as it was the day that we did that down there at the harbor in Key West, when I forgot to unmute the button that just lost all our beautiful content. But
wait, is that what it was? We weren't aware of that, or I wasn't aware of that.
Doc, all I'm going to say about this is I've saved the soundbite where Juice just says, "Why do they call him Doc?"
For a variety of reasons.
So I'm going to introduce everybody. Wait, what do you got in the cup there, bud?
I'm having a little yum this afternoon.
Little giddy up.
Little yum.
Look, I'm in true character, and we are live right now. Sounds great, according to Clint, our all-star director. I got an epic Western right here. I'm going to drink a Chisparita right now.
Good.
Taking me back.
Some of those down here.
So, introduce everybody. Wade Hamilton, the director of golf up at Montgomery Country Club, also a really good teacher in his own right. We just call him the DOG, the dog. That's what they call him. Anyways, he accompanied us down to Key West to help teach Juice and to learn to fish. We got Dr. Greg Cartin. Once again, I think Juice will probably ask you why we call you Doc in the middle of this.
Context.
And then I just got done writing the article about Juice. It's going to go out next week. But for those that haven't been following, we're the Pro Work series that we've been doing for a while now. This one was kind of my creation, something I came up with. I've gotten to know Juice over the last, it's been 4 years now, 3 or 4 years, I think. And over the last few, I was looking for a hobby because I didn't think drinking Chisparitas and sitting in dark bars were best for all of my stuff. Anyways, learning to tarpon fish. And from that, Juice and I got talking about just the whole learning process, really. And I'll tell the story real quick. After one of our first sessions out there, kind of floating around learning, and I called him or texted him, and I said, "Hey man, like I haven't got billed for a trip, and I know you're probably trying to get paid. Yeah, and I give you my card." And he said, "No man, this one's on me. Don't worry about it. This was so fun because you were really trying to learn," and it started making me think. And Greg, Wade, we can all talk about I went into it like I would want a student to take a golf lesson. Okay. And all of the things come in without preconceived notions, not tell the person all the stuff I already knew, all of that, but really learn. And I found it fascinating. And then through the time that we've spent out there, just, reinvigorated my teaching. Realistically, like it kind of made me start thinking about how I explain things. Sometimes I get caught glossing over things that I think anybody would know. And so, with Juice, when we got to teaching in golf down there at Key West Golf Club, big shout out to those guys. They were awesome letting us hang out there. And they got a great food and beverage staff, don't they, Wade?
Best I've ever seen in Key West.
And anyways, they, when we teach Juice had to play 12, 13 years, it was like, you can't just gloss over things. We had to start from there. So, Juice, tell us a little bit about your experience. And Greg, Wade, we're going to recreate what we did on the Harbor Day that you dumbass host here forgot to record. So, but I thought the content and the stuff from those couple days together was awesome. And Greg, Wade, can't thank you enough for coming down. But let's talk a little bit about what we learned from tarpon fishing and golf together.
So it was, for me, in my perception, working with you, the greatest student ever, I was walking into this trying to be the same, trying to be wide open and not show how nervous I really was with three of the greatest minds staring at me, and which isn't easy. And
along with the Hemingway quote you used during it, nobody else is called Wade the greatest mind.
well, he played the role well that day.
That's right.
He's the best.
So it was for me just being completely open and trying to forget everything I thought I knew and starting over and sort of stepping into that fear and really trying to not get in my head, which is hard for me, and through all the things that happened and all the great advice and positioning and swing and this and that, what stuck with me was when Wade brought it down to, well, that's not how you fish.
That was the light bulb moment of the whole thing.
But I was like, shit, I would never fish like that. And it totally changed everything. And then from there it was on.
One of the points that I make in the article is, and you're going to see in the episode when it comes out next week, is that I think it's important. It got me to go back to try to relate what I'm teaching to the student and their interests and what they're good at. And Wade, you did such a great job. We were trying to get, after we'd gotten Juice postured, and we spent some time explaining where the low point needed to be and how you hit down, how the club hits the ball in the turf. And then Wade, you brought up just such a great point because, like lots of golfers, and Doc, you were talking to him about he was trying to control impact and control the ball.
Yeah,
And you talked about, and then Wade came up with, well, would you throw a fishing rod like this? Would you cast a bait? You were like this because that's what he looked like hitting the golf ball. And once we said that, Juice, you caught right on.
Yeah. And then Doc got my mind right after that, telling me to stop overthinking everything, basically,
Yeah, or for you to put what you were doing in your own words, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instructors can tell you what to do and the right positions and how it's supposed to feel, but until it comes from the student, right? Sometimes that may not be the same thing. Like what you feel may not be what they're describing. So
and you breaking that down to me was amazing. It clicked when you broke it down.
Yeah, and it was really that's a really powerful tool in learning, right? To be able to verbalize it to yourself what something feels like.
Yeah, I've borrowed that from you and put it into fishing with clients.
Awesome.
Did you really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We're not even going to charge you for that. Doc's not even.
I appreciate that.
Wait, what's this borrow shit?
We got a TM on that?
Yeah.
I had a quick.
Hey, Doc,
I did have a quick question. We can smoke during this, right?
Burritos if he borrows.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I wish they sold those around here. I would have a few right here in my office.
We got to get Royce and the boys at Epic Western to get up there at Boston. I know that. Go ahead.
Wade, get them down here in Key West.
Oh, I was just asking a question. We can smoke during this meeting?
Nope.
Cigarettes?
Maybe. Man, I didn't wake up. I didn't wake up till 8:45 this morning. That's the latest I've slept in 10 years.
Good for you.
Yeah.
You hear everything
last night
on the podcast.
No, but when you talk about like relating, Doc, you were the best. Like asking them to tell you what they're thinking, because what you're saying and what they're feeling, thinking, usually don't match up. But like I've seen Tony countless times, and Woody, who's a good friend of Tony's. Some of the best lessons are when you ask more questions than you make statements. I mean, it's amazing if you just find out what they're thinking, feeling, et cetera, and what they do naturally, and then start, catering your lesson around that. It's usually way more successful, and normally you can get off the tee a little faster.
Right. Yeah.
Doc, I want you and Juice talk a little bit. I thought some of the points that I thought were great for trying to come at this from the point of recreational, just regular golfers, right? Not tour players. But, obviously we talked about how stuff felt, right? And he made the joke like, "Oh, that one hurt," and you were like, "Okay, if you hurt, you know you're doing it good."
Yeah, it was a good one.
Right, but you
and there was wear. There was wear.
Right, right, and you talked about how. Because I think one thing that happens to people when they come take a golf lesson is at the end you made him summarize it. You said, "Now, Juice, tell us the 3 things we did today," right? And he went through them, and I think if I'm not mistaken. I've watched a bunch of this video the last few days, but first was posture, right? And we gave you a process to get into your posture and explain how the hips and the body work. But posture was one, and then we talked about how to turn going back. And you created the feel of, you said it hurt in your glute, but that's the feeling of loading into your glute. And then the last one, like we were trying to tell you to turn through, you just said you had to get to the finish, right? Get to the end.
That's right.
Get to the end, was it? And I remember Doc saying to you, okay, so get to the end's great. And then you would go back through them. And Doc, to you, like, I think that's one reason folks sometimes they take lessons and they quit taking them is they leave and then they go practice and they don't know how the hell to get back to what they were doing in the golf lesson.
Yeah. We've done that a lot, I think, over the years now, and seen you give tons of lessons. You can tell them all the positions they're supposed to get into and what their club face is supposed to do, and but you can't replicate that on your own.
Right.
But you certainly can replicate feels that you actually feel or experience in that setting.
Right.
And I think it's so important to finish the lesson, right? To have the student say, okay, give us 2 or 3 things that you're going to take away that you felt that you, when you were doing things the correct way, what did it feel like? And those are the ones that come back, right? Like you said, like it's so frustrating. You take a lesson, you start hitting it great, but you don't really know why you're hitting it great. You know that you're in the right position, but you can't see where that position is when you're swinging the golf club.
Right.
Right.
And then you go to the range, you can't replicate that at all. And then this game's too hard.
That was huge for me. What's that feel like was huge.
New Icy Hot Nighttime Recovery relieves pain at nighttime while your body recovers. Icy Hot. You're so back.
This episode is brought to you by Diet Coke. You know that moment when you just need to hit pause and refresh? An ice-cold Diet Coke isn't just a break. It's your chance to catch your breath and savor a moment that's all about you. Always refreshing, still the same great taste. Diet Coke. Make time for you time.
Put us in a box. Go ahead. That just gives us something to break out of. Because the next generation 2025 GMC Terrain Elevation is raising the standard of what comes standard. As far as expectations go, why meet them when you can shatter them? What we choose to challenge, we challenge completely. We are professional grade. Visit GMC.com to learn more.
Shh. Hear that? Big waves are calling. Dive into refreshment with Kona Big Wave. Tropical flavor and the taste of aloha in every drop. This summer, don't just listen. Join Kona on the Big Wave Bonfire Tour. More information at konabigwave.com/bigwavemusic. Kona Big Wave. Liquid Aloha. Copyright 2025 Kona Brewing Co., St. Louis, Missouri. Mahalo for enjoying responsibly.
And I thought it was pretty interesting because we get so wrapped up nowadays that, like using technology, like Juice, you haven't been to the Hitting Bay at Old Palm, but we've got force plates and we can do 3D shit. We can do all this stuff, right? But we showed you a video twice on an iPhone, and the rest was just all of us thinking, coaching, and going from the ball flight, right? And back.
Right.
And I thought that was pretty cool, Doc. And I also thought there was some good in that because it really, he kind of had to get in touch with what he was thinking and what he was feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you, the important thing about feel and saying, what does that feel like? That's fishing. When you're locked into a 150-pound tarpon, I can't tell you what that's going to feel like.
Right.
Besides hard until you're doing it. And then I can help coach you how to do it correctly.
Or just how about what to do when the guy's got one on the line? It's too late.
Right. It's too late.
Right?
Yeah.
they're not listening to anything. It's the same thing in golf.
Yeah.
It's too
That's
late.
a great point. They already know everything and they're in it.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Juice, like, you've spent a bunch of time with me on the boat, Breen and Yvonne and friends of ours, and obviously with Wade, been out with Wade and I a couple times together, and then Doc, like, and you've watched us teach, like, how does it compare, or is it the same or different? What's different from when you get people like us that don't know how to tarpon fish? Like, how is there similarities to how you go about teaching them, or
Absolutely.
is it completely different?
Absolutely. And again, the things I was doing, which are good and are helpful, I enhanced a lot after hanging out and getting coached by you guys, because I had new ideas to put into it, and the hookup ratios have increased. Absolutely. What's that feel like? All right, here's how we're going to move this. Look at your posture. That fish is about to jump. Here's exactly how you want to get that tip down. Here's the way I want you to pull him if he's going this way. All these different things that I can orate. And again, like you were saying in coaching, you forget that people don't know what they're doing. You forget. And to be conscious of the fact that they don't know what they're doing, whether they think they do or not, that first time, second time, third time, prepares me to go, all right, just because you know what's going on doesn't mean that they do. Wake up, tell them exactly what's going to happen here.
Yeah.
That's your job.
Tony, that's been a shift in your career, I think, from when I first knew you, where you were teaching a lot of better players back then, to now you're still teaching better players, but you're also teaching a lot of somewhat beginners now too, right? And how different that can be, and how challenging that can be to sort of bounce back and forth.
Well, I think, and I wrote about this, for Digest, like, I spend a lot of time with good players and tour players. But one of the cool things about, like, I guess it was last week, I drove up to Montgomery Country Club. I sat on Wade's tee, and, I had one young guy, Sam Love, who's playing for a living, come down. But the rest of them were just regular golfers at the club, right? And then at Old Palm, a lot of the members come and take lessons. Like, it got me back in touch. I think you get this, like, you're just teaching tour players, and it's cool and it's fun and all. I'm not saying it's not. But, like, to me, teaching junior golfers and recreational golfers is real teaching and coaching, right? Because they don't necessarily have the skill set. Like, just like me, first time on the boat. Shit, I still don't know how to bow when the fucking fish hits, right? I mean, I'm
Tony bows to nobody.
I bow to nobody, right?
Yeah.
So, but I thought that, but like, and I think, Greg, I think that, like, that's important in what we do, is never getting too far away from what our job is, which is helping everybody be able to play better.
Yeah. Well, Juice probably runs into the same stuff, right? You probably have guys that come out there and know exactly what they're doing, or they've been on the boat 1,000 times. And
absolutely.
Then you got people like me or others who don't know what they're doing and want more information maybe sometimes, but it's just different. Everyone's a little bit different. And yeah, you're right, Tony. I think it is getting back to more of the beginner mind, or people who don't have a lot of scars or a lot of bad information, to be able to mold that can be fun.
Yeah, it's almost easier with someone that's never done it, and I fish a lot of just amazing anglers. And like any sport, we all have a tick or an inability to do certain things, or a block, and you run into that and you coach around it. But yeah, it's easier with someone that's never done it. Give me a 12-year-old girl, that's never done it. She's gonna listen.
Careful.
Wait, they're going to listen. They're going to listen to you. A 50-year-old man is positive he knows what to do.
Right.
So it's, and my coach and mentor, John Smouse, probably the greatest tarpon fisherman in the world.
Right.
And I still learn going out with him and fishing with him, and some technique he just picked up or whatever. He's like all of us, he's one of those people who's constantly learning. And that's the fun of having pros on your boat and having rookies and amateurs on your boat, is you're in a constant state of shuffling through that. You don't get comfortable, which is good.
I love that, not getting comfortable doing it.
Yeah.
I
don't want to get comfortable.
And really, like I said that to you a bunch of times. I said that to Doc and Greg when we were walking down Key West, down Duval Street there. I was like, you get comfortable in your teaching and you get comfortable with students. And heck, I have it happen too. Like you have a guy that doesn't want a lot of information, and he's probably realistically just there to chat more than he is to go. So you catch yourself half-assed going through the motions, right?
Yeah.
But then you have like teaching you. We went out there on the boat that morning, and we're filming it. And you're doing that, and you're a good friend, and you haven't played a lot of golf in a long time. You're like, all right, I really want to get engaged, and you start seeing how, man, like when you don't overlook things, when you explain the fundamentals. And when you don't assume that the person in front of you knows what you're talking about, like how much different the lesson is for them and for you, and how much better it is. I mean, I thought it was great.
It was incredible. It was incredible, And luckily, I'm a really bad golfer, so it was easy to fix everything.
New golfer.
I got to tell you, some of I like to go watch Tony teach because I steal a bunch of shit and it helps me out with my lessons moving
along. Talk about borrowing.
Yeah. But I mean, in all seriousness, some of your best work is when you get a club level player that's a 15 handicapper who's about ready to quit golf. Mm-hmm. And you get those guys on the right track. I mean, teaching those high end players and tour players and college players is great. I mean, you're making minor tweaks to somebody who's just really great at golf, and they always have been and always are going to be. But when you take somebody who's, not very athletic, out of shape, awkward, and playing like crap and ready to quit the game, and you get them inspired because you actually make a breakthrough in an hour, that's the most impressive lessons I've ever seen you teach.
Yeah.
Well, I thought we did some pretty dang good stuff, the three of us together with Juice. I mean, the video.
It was unreal. It was absolutely unreal.
It really was. And, I got to give – and Juice, I want you to tell this story too, because we talked about it on the original one in which there's no volume. I actually was trying to think of a way we could have done this.
To read lips.
And then Clint piped our talking into that video because it looked so cool. I was sitting there by the bar. But I was like, we'd look like Milli Vanilli back in the day. The words went back. But Juice, there was, and it's for everybody gets in a rut. And
oh man,
I came down.
Yeah.
And it's one of those times, like I texted you and I was like, hey man, like you got anything next Thursday or Friday? Like I just need to get the blank out of town and I'm headed down that way. I want to fish. And you're like, man, it's been terrible, but I got Thursday afternoon. And I was like, perfect. I don't even care if we catch anything. And I think, Doc, that'll speak to a little something about you. Like I went out there with no preconceived notions or expectations. I just really wanted to drink 8 Coors Lights on the boat, cruising around.
Listen to good tunes.
And listening to some Buffett and some Grateful Dead. And like we came in and I was the slump buster. I hate to say that because there's probably college.
Absolute fact. So we call it the barrel, and I was in the fucking barrel. You're not getting a fish. And it's like day 5, which is a lifetime in tarpon season. That's a year. And I'm dying. And so Tony calls and I said, well, we can go out, but I'm shit right now. And I'm not catching fish. I don't know what the hell's going on. So I get done with my morning trip. I pick him up. And he can read my head immediately. He's, what's going on, buddy? I said, nothing. That's the problem. I'm screwed. And we're riding around. He said, what's going on? So this happens. This is just like golf. You're in your head. You need to relax. Let's go somewhere you don't normally go. I said, all right. So we're driving around. I said, I got an idea. It's kind of far away. We're going to go try something different. And I had a gut feeling.
I didn't mean going to another island.
He didn't clear that up till later. So we did both. But so we went to a different spot, and I just had this great feeling. I set up and was reading the water great. Didn't see any fish roll or anything like that. There was no specific tells. And we set up, started fishing, and we're just talking shit, listening to music, somewhat careless. And I think 10 minutes in, we jumped our first tarpon, caught that, and proceeded to catch, I think, 4 more that afternoon. And he looks at me and he goes, "What slump?"
Slump buster. But
you
said something interesting there, and I think I have these conversations sometimes with golfers, and that they get really stale and they get stuck in this pattern of playing poorly, and then they're searching for answers and they're digging in deeper and they're working harder and nothing's working. And you said something that we speak about a lot. It's like, you just did something a little bit different. You just went to a different area. Or say, I'll say to golfers sometimes, tomorrow on the golf course, see if you can notice something out there that you've never seen before, right? It really helps to really keep people like grounded in what they're doing. And it changes the experience just enough to have them forget about all the stuff that's been going wrong.
Yeah.
And it's a simple
really does.
concept, but it can really make a big shift in your mindset and your approach. The example I always use is like, this may not apply directly, but if you were to brush your teeth with the opposite, did we talk about this? Have you heard me say this before, Tony? Or you sort of
no, but I just never know where you're going.
If you were to brush your teeth with the opposite hand,
replace it on track my phone, and I got in trouble.
Right? If you take your toothbrush and you start brushing your teeth with the opposite hand, how different that experience would be, how engaged you'd be in the experience. And you're just doing something a little bit different, right? Same concept, but same objective, but you're doing it a little bit differently, and you're much more engaged, and you remember it, and you're really in that moment. Like, you go fishing, you're fishing the same spots, and you're like, what the hell's going on? Nothing's wrong. We'll go to a little bit of a different spot and see what happens.
Yeah,
now you're more
absolutely
engaged. You don't know the area that much, or you're playing golf and you add something different to your routine that makes you just a little bit more aware on that day, and it can make a huge difference.
Yeah, I agree. And
I don't know if all those things tie together, but I was trying my hardest.
No, they absolutely
I think it does.
And that's literally exactly what happened. And that wouldn't have happened if Tony wasn't on the boat. I'd have had the story in my head, the pressure where I'm making it worse and worse, and it's getting more and more and more intense.
Yeah.
Sort of doing the same thing over and over again with zero results, the definition of insanity.
Yeah.
And then, literally having Tony go, I don't care. Let's just go do this. You're not in a slump. You're fine.
Right.
Let's go do something else anyway. And having that opportunity changed everything.
And Doc, what is it? This is directly applicable to golf, because how many times do we have a guy go out their way? You probably saw it in the your invitation this weekend or whatever, or 4-ball, where guy goes out and he shoots $1 million on the front. He thinks it's over, doesn't care, relaxes, or he's out of it after the first day, and the next day there's no pressure, doesn't matter.
Yeah,
has a beer, and he goes out there and he plays lights out. It happens all the time. Why is that, Doc?
Well, it's an old sort of boot. Like, the less we try, the easier we are able to move, right, and to be free. And that's really the key to performance, or accessing what we have, is to be free. And if we're doing it to get something, sometimes it makes it a lot harder. So,
yeah.
Now it's sort of this elusive kind of state, but I think sometimes athletes or competitors or anyone who's competitive gets it wrong. I think the more they try, or the more they want it, the better chances they are to succeed. And then, and there's billions of stories like you just described. Well, I just decided that, hey, maybe it's not as important, and all of a sudden things open up. We call that the acceptable zone of failure. You went down to fish and didn't care if you caught a fish. That was, your day was already set. If you didn't catch a fish, you'd be okay. And then it made it easier to fish.
Took the pressure off me and Tony.
Yeah.
But you've had people, because I've heard you talk about them, where they call and they're like, hey, I mean, now we're going to catch enough that we have to go grill and eat tonight, right? Or like yeah. You know, I mean, I'm going to catch enough. And you're like, hey, you need to talk to these people, right? Like, but those are the people that you don't want, right? Because if you catch 6, they're going to have wanted 8, right?
Yep.
You know, I mean, it's elusive.
They're not going to catch any.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. The juju's gone.
Well,
There's no
that's a
good
challenge,
juju.
Juice. We talked about this that you have is that there's probably times you go out with people who spend good money and want to catch fish and don't catch anything, but can they still have a good time? Sure.
Right.
And that's hard.
And it's funny. Good fishermen get that. New fishermen don't. You know.
Right.
And so there's and it's my job, so I'm going to bust my ass to make it happen.
Sure. Yeah.
But when that, when their satisfaction isn't there because of numbers or something else, that's a
results.
grind.
Good golfers know that they're going to play poorly sometimes, and they're okay with that.
Yeah.
Guys who shoot one good score one day think they're going to do that all the time. And then they achieve that every time out, and they think, I'm not getting any better, I stink, or this game's too hard, or it's no fun.
I mean, it's a game of numbers. You're not going to go out and shoot a great game every day. I'm not going to go out and catch the greatest fish every day. You just can't.
Right.
But I think like Doc and I know Wade and I've talked about this, and you Juice, like people go out there and they have the day that they like. So in golf, the 10 handicapper goes out there and shoots 70, or I go out there and we catch 4 tarpon in one day, and we think that's our average. Like we think that's right. We think that's
your new standard,
normal, right? That's the new standard, and then our expectations adjust to that. So if I go and I don't catch 4 tarpon, so if every time I got in your boat I didn't catch 4 tarpon, I think it was a failure. I mean, you'd be like, what are you thinking? Right? It's the same thing with golfers that go play a good 18 and they think that's going to be it every time they tee it up. And I think that was the beauty of us working with you is you hit a bunch of bad shots for sure.
Yeah.
But you hit a handful of really, really good shots. And you loved it. But when you hit a bad one, you didn't go, why am I still doing it? Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's people ought to understand that.
Right. Yeah. My bar was low.
I mean, towards the end, if you hit a bad one, you immediately turned around and said, I didn't do X, Y, or Z. I mean, that's a big part of everybody's going to hit bad shots. You got to know why you're hitting them, and then you can accept it and say, okay, what I'm doing is right. I just didn't do it right that time. And then you keep going forward with the same exact thing over and over and over. You don't start guessing.
Right.
And I want to talk a little fishing here for a minute. Two things that I thought were fascinating about the fishing were, one, we get out there and it was a freaking feeding frenzy, fish jumping everywhere, boats everywhere, and nobody caught shit.
No, not just us, everybody.
We roll into this thing, and I think it's like Jaws. I mean, I think we're going to be like pulling so many tarpon up on the boat. I'm like, this is the greatest thing. Nobody caught anything. And you were like, hey, man, in the history of tarpon fishing, I'll never forget, it's never worked one time for everybody to get all on top of them and cast that around them, right?
No.
Never worked. But everybody does it.
Yes. Yeah. It's hysterical. It's like Pavlov's dog. They ring that bell, they're there, and everybody gets right on top of them and starts throwing everything they got, and nothing's going to happen, And we're all dumb enough to go do it and watch and go, shit, why didn't I get one? I knew I wasn't going to get one.
And then that brings me to my second point, though. Like, the first time I went, I thought we were just going to go pull up on a bunch of tarpon, drop a line, right? And this is where it relates to golf. And I've said to many a player since, like, you were looking at where the fish were and where they were going to go, and we tried to plan ahead, right? And when you play golf, it's the same thing. You should be looking at where you're trying to leave the ball, where gives you the best opportunity to play the next shot, right? And golfers most recreation golfers, they just look at the hole and they just hit it, right?
Right.
Good players are looking at where do you want to go from, where do you want to leave it, where gives you the best opportunity. And in an odd way, I found that to be the most comparable thing to being a great tarpon fisherman to being a great golfer, and that you were looking at where the fish were, where did we need to go ahead of them to give us the best chance to get them. And if people understood that about golf and fishing, tarpon fishing, I think they'd be better.
Absolutely. It'd be amazing. And it's fighting that instinct to just go immediately right for it and do it. Use the science, use the water, use the way nature works. You're hunting, they're hunting. What do we do to put that together? Just like in golf, what's my plan here? I'm not going to walk up and start whacking balls, right? What's the flow here? What's this course doing? There's a lot of that in what it is. And my mind's constantly working the area, and figuring out what those fish are going to do.
Yeah. No, I'm pumped, and we're going to wrap this up, but I got two big announcents here. Juice knows about one of them. The rest of you don't. But when this thing drops this next week, if you go and you watch it, you hashtag Shadowcaster Charters, whether it's on Instagram, one of our videos we post, or it's on the YouTube, hashtag Shadowcaster Charters, or hashtag Dew Sweepers or Dew Sweeper TV or Pro Work, any of those. We're going to do a drawing in 2 weeks, and we're going to give away. Somebody's going to have the opportunity to come down. Now, you have to get your own ass there. But if you get down there, you're going to get to go. And Wade, I'm making you come too. And Doc, we're going to coordinate it. But you're going to get to come tarpon fish with the four of us. We'll take you, have a nice dinner. Not that steak place. I'm not going that into debt on this. But we'll take you to a nice dinner.
Red Garter Buffet.
Yeah. And we're going to go play golf.
Big snapper.
We'll go play golf. So all you got to do, we're going to give away a free trip to come tarpon fish and play golf with us in Key West, the four of us. All you have to do is go watch the videos, hashtag Shadowcaster Charters, when we put them up on Instagram or on YouTube, hashtag Dew Sweepers. And I know we talked about this a bunch down there, but we're going to come out with some dates for a tarpon fishing and golf school where you get to play with a couple tour players, fish with Juice, work with us on the range, and go out and have some great dinners. And guys, I think it's going to be epic.
So freaking awesome.
That's awesome.
Just incredible.
I'm excited. I didn't know I was coming back.
Fun.
Yeah, same. When are we doing this? September?
Tomorrow. No, we're
tomorrow.
I got to open it on Wednesday.
Once we pick the winner, Juice and I will do this in a very official drawing. And once we do the drawing, we'll pick some dates. But all you got to do is get to Key West. We'll hook you up with a decent place to stay, reasonable, and we're going to take you out. It'll be the day of your life. Fishing with Juice and us, going to play some golf, some good dinners and drinks, and we might even do a podcast, turn the volume on.
That'd be fun. Might even turn the volume on.
What do you think, Juice? What do you think, May? I think
the worst part is we were all at our best that day. We were throwing pearls around.
Yeah, that's right. That was a good one.
Pearls. That's what you call it? I don't know. But we'll
I might have been a little drunk, but it was pearls.
And then looking to May, we'll do that. I think that tarpon fishing school is going to be great. So, guys, First of all, thanks for putting up with me. Yeah. Juice, you're the best. You're like family. And
love you, boys.
Going to get down there soon. But next week, the big tarpon fishing golf pro work drops, and couldn't have filmed it with anybody better people. Doc, Wade,
thanks. It was awesome, guys. It's great to see everybody.
Thank you, guys. It was incredible. Thank you.
Hi, this is Tony Ruggiero. And look, recently, several teachers I know and several players have had some scares with skin cancer. In fact, I recently went and saw a dermatologist here in town, and I had a couple things frozen off, eyelid, my face, my earlobe, and not getting any younger. And I know it's getting to that time of the season where it's cooler, but look, being in the sun is a real deal, and I've not been very good, to be totally honest, my whole career at using it at all, because I didn't like how greasy it was, how hard it was to get off your hands, how it clogged up my pores. And then I found this sunscreen, Visor Skincare. It's clear, it goes on, it doesn't dry you out, it isn't greasy, it's like you didn't put anything on it. By far, it's the best sunscreen I've ever used. Without a doubt, is the easiest to use. And we've got a discount code for all of you. All you have to do is go to visorskincare.com, use our code word DewSweeper. visorskincare.com, code word DewSweeper.